Hello, and welcome to Divine Partnership Coaching. This is Path of the Emperor, Step 5. And I want to talk about how to figure out what your truth is. Because in further steps, I'm going to say stand in your truth. And oftentimes we have not had somebody, whether a parent or a partner or a teacher or a guide, model for us how to figure out who are we? What do we want? So I'm going to attempt in a less than 10-minute video, not to tell you who you are, but to offer some steps on how to figure that out. And I've decided to put this in the Path of the Emperor / Divine Masculine series because I think that I think Divine Feminines learn to figure out what their truth is and stand in it when they are in role reversal and experiencing learning to become an emperor, because it has a lot to do with solar plexus healing and really accepting and allowing personal power. And I think that for masculines, this is something that often is learned, I want to say, after you have done your role reversal and learned what it's been like for your empress, like as you go through your karmic learning. And when you come back and it's time for you to clean up your messes, or if you're Divine Femme watching this one, it's time to clean up your messes. That's when you learn how to stand in your truth with authenticity and kindness and finality. Now, what I would say is the path of ease, of least resistance to answering the question, what is my truth, is to, take a pen and piece of paper, or if you need to talk, find somebody that you can talk to that knows that you're just processing, or use a voice recorder, and answer 3 questions. Who have you been? Who are you right now? And who do you want to be? And be honest in all of those, Like for me, I have been a rather reserved person, and I've based most of my decisions on my insecurities, what would avoid putting me in positions where my insecurities were tested. And that's the person that I've been. Now, in this moment, I can say I no longer make my decisions based on my insecurities, at least most consistently I don't. But when I started doing this practice that I'm offering, I was still doing that. And in that moment, in that now, I really wanted to be my future self, my now self, where I feel comfortable making decisions that are good for me just because they're good for me, and I don't feel trapped by whether or not anybody else will agree with it. And that feels good. That's self-worth, and it's a part of my truth. Now, for me, what I had to answer was, in the past I've been somebody who's like, as an Enneagram Type 8 and a Capricorn, as a psychic person, and somebody Gemini rising, who genuinely loves learning for learning's sake. I know a lot of things, but I have come across in the past a lot like a know-it-all, and I've used the information that I've collected to bully people. Not intentionally, obviously, but that's what's come across. It's been forceful. It's been unasked for. And that's not the kind of person that I've seen myself as, but if I really want to be the person I see myself as, somebody who people come to ask for advice, somebody that people value for what she knows, and somebody that people recognize isn't never going to force anything on anyone else. And even if I do know the answers, I'm never going to make you feel bad for not knowing them. And I know that I've always been a kind person, somebody who's, like, kindness for me is not the same as niceness or politeness. Kindness is being willing to do the hard thing also, but with a authentic intention, you know? And in order to be that person, I had to look back and look at who I've been. Like, I've been the kind of person in the past who's used manipulative tactics just like anyone else. I've used mind games. I've succumbed to low vibrational energies and been a bully and been someone who emasculates and effeminates and hasn't been authentic. Those are the things that I have been in the past. And they were contrary to my core being and my inner being. And so I looked at that within all honesty, owning the things that I have done that do not line up with who I really am, and then thought about in that moment, who do I want to be? And then I took that and I set a compass for myself and I made a commitment to myself. And I shared it with some people that I really cared about, that I felt deserved to know that I was committing to myself to being, my commitment was to be a kind, healing, reassuring, authentic, and fun person. And the kind of person that other people know that I'm going to keep my commitments to them, not because I go out of my way to keep my commitments to them, but because I do a very simple thing called keeping my commitments to myself. And because I keep my commitments to myself, it makes it easy to keep commitments with others. And I've used that as my compass to help guide me when contrast comes, when somebody does something that triggers me, that, you know, I as an authentic person, for me, authenticity is being a grateful person too. That might mean something different for each person because authentic can mean different things, but for me, that's being a person who is primarily in a state of gratitude. Not blissed out, but grateful. I like that. That's, to me, that is part of my authenticity. And so that's part of what I teach, is when somebody blames you for something, instead of being upset that they've misrepresented you or have not owned their piece of whatever the mess is, I would recommend looking at, how are you being that way? How are you blaming? How are you not owning something? And not as a form of disempowerment, but a form of empowerment. Because then you get to heal something within yourself, and then you are grateful to the people who have provided contrast to you. Even some people that have done maybe horrible things to you. And that is healing. And then you become a healed person who who no longer contributes to the cycles of toxicity in this world that we so need to heal. And so, dear emperors, divine masculines, wherever you are on your journey when you come across this video, now is the perfect time to set up your compass and say, who have I been? Who am I right now in this moment? Am I allowing myself to be the person that I really know that I am? And if I'm not, then what commitments can I make to myself, even just small ones to start, that I know are in alignment with myself? And then each choice that you get, whether it's with a karmic or your divine partner or work or an addiction or anything, like, make your choices. If I make this choice, who does that line me up as? If I make that choice, who am I being in that moment? Or how can I do this thing that must be done in a new way that lines up with who I am? I hope this video has helped. Please let me know in the comments below or to my inbox if there is any further clarification I can provide. I will do more videos as I feel called to do them, helping you learn to understand how to recognize your truth and stand in it as the Emperor and Divine Masculine that you already are, but are learning to become.